Hi, this is Francis Sideco with TIRIAS Research. I'm here at the Intel AI Everywhere event with Garth Long from Intel. He's going to show us all the great things about the AI PC and what's actually running on device, as opposed to, obviously Copilot's going to be on it, but that's going out to the cloud right now. But this is all the AI stuff that's happening on device. Garth?
Sure. So the first thing I'll show you is this is Filmora from Wondershare, and what we've done is we've worked with them to enable several of their effects on the NPU. And so with video editing, a lot of times what you're trying to do is like cut out the background, change the background. So we've got our dancer. Um, you can see that they've got this like cool little dance going on. We're actually using this thing called the human glitch. That's actually running on the NPU. So this is an AI model that's generating those colored like glitches. But now if we want to actually put this dancer maybe in Vegas, we use this thing called AI Portrait, and now we can have our dancer show up on the strip. And what that AI model is doing is it's using the NPU to separate the dancer from the background and be able to replace the background.
How big are these models that are running on here?
They're fairly decent sized models. I mean, we've got, we're only looking at about 27% utilization on the NPU, so there's still plenty of headroom to run more models, but you can see that the memory is kind of loaded. And that's kind of the typical situation where whether you're running on NPU, CPU, or GPU, you have to load all of your models into memory, and then you can actually do the execution.
Very cool.
So the next one I'll show you is called Superpower. So you might remember Superpower as Rewind AI. They've actually rebranded now as Superpower. And what they've been able to do is put the Llama 7 billion, with Intel's help, of course, be able to run the Llama V2 7 billion model locally. So the idea behind Superpower is that you can now it's an AI-powered assistant that allows you to do queries on anything that you've seen, said, or heard with your computer. And this is really inspired by Dan's, the co-founder and the CEO. He suffered some hearing loss. He got hearing aids, and he felt as though that gave him a superpower with hearing. So how could he translate that superpower into the way that he uses his PC? And so now we can ask now questions. For example, when is the Meteor Lake launch? This is actually going to run locally, and you'll be able to see the NPU utilization shoot up. And so we're using the NPU and the GPU together to understand the context of the question, and then the CPU is actually being used to generate the answer. So these are all of the AI engines within the Intel Core Ultra being used to run this model locally. And the point here is that when you run it locally, you're not exposing any of this information to the cloud, so that keeps your privacy, security, all of those things that you want to protect on your PC, and you don't have any interaction with the cloud.
Who's making the decision onto what thing is going on the NPU versus CPU versus the GPU?
So generally that's up to the ISV or the whomever's writing the software. With all of the ISVs that we've been working with, we've been trying to help guide them on what makes the most sense for them. But in general, that's the ISV decides on what the right target is. But if you're using OpenVINO or you're using one of those frameworks, it's really easy to target the NPU. It shows up as a compute-only graphics device. So you can see it in the task manager. It uses this compute driver model. Any applications can schedule inferences on the NPU.
So last question on this: with everything being on device, to your point, sometimes you want the privacy, you want to keep it on there. Two questions actually. Does the model learn from the types of questions that are being asked it on device? Or if I change devices, how do I kind of make sure that the work that I've been doing with the PC stays with me?
Right. So for the first one, it's not going to learn how to answer questions in a way that like the model changes. It will learn that you have a certain maybe style. So you could say things like, write me an email to so and so, and it will know your style of email writing, and it'll generate that email for you. Of course, this is just a tech preview, so those are all features to come.
Yeah.
But that's kind of the idea for the future. When you're going from device to device, Superpower is probably going to create a way to transfer all of your information. I can't really speak to that, but that seems like something those guys would.
Yeah, I mean, if it is a future feature where it'll learn your style of writing, you're not going to want to lose that when you go to a different device, right?
So there's going to be a way to transfer the database, I'm sure, but we'll leave it. The Superpower guys are really smart. We'll leave it to them to figure out how to do that.
Very cool. Well, it's getting a little loud here. Hopefully, our people can hear us. But thank you for your time.
Yeah, a lot of high energy. I've got one more to show you.
Oh, sure. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So the last one we have here is a security use case from Buffer Zone. And people don't normally think about security when they think about AI or offloading to the NPU. And so what Buffer Zone's been able to do is create an anti-phishing, essentially, container, and it allows them to do security on device using the NPU. So when you're actually running this on the NPU, you're not exposing any of this stuff to the cloud, again, with that security idea in mind. And because Buffer Zone has been able to move it all to the edge, they've been able to save 91% in their cost. And that has actually enabled them to create something that actually they can really go to market with. If they're using the cloud for all of their cost structure, that's going to make a product that they really can't sell, right? But by moving it to the edge, you can now actually make something that's affordable for people to use.
Awesome. Oh, perfect. Thanks, Garth. Appreciate your time.
You're welcome.
And have a good rest of the show.
Okay, you too.